Hi there and welcome. In today's video we're going to use some of the items from the Celestial Moon kit. Look at this. Beautiful peacock shaped sort of seed beads, some lovely amethyst chips, some beautiful mica sort of powder there, and again the same thing, and some of these, both of these or maybe just one of them, I'm not certain as to yet, but yeah, so without further ado, straight into this now. You're going to see something that if you've seen some of our videos before, I'm just going to apply some beautiful, this is like a cross between a glitter and a very fine mica. But look at that going on. Now, everything we've used in this project today that you're seeing, it was in the Celestial Moon kit that we purchased from Jules at Resin Jules and Helena at Resin Supplies. They may still have some available. If they don't, they might be able to put one together for you or something similar. Please check them out. Contact them via their links that will all be in the description box along with the items that we've used. And this is a beautiful kit. If you haven't seen the unboxing, we have done an unboxing video 2 or 3 days ago. It was released. So why not check out our playlist and have a look at the unboxing, and then we'll show you everything that was involved and supplied in this kit. We did purchase this from them. It was not gifted to us. Yeah. We've had various kits from them before. The Skulls kit. We've had, gosh, what other kits we've had? There are a couple of other kits. We also took part in their Scoops evening recently, which was great fun, hilarious, Halloween themed. They dressed up, looked fantastic. Again, I think this happen about once a month, but they'll be able to confirm that for definite. Great way to spend your evening. Brilliant fun. Anyway, moving on. So I've just applied some of the mica powders or / glitters to the mold, just using a dry bristled paintbrush, regular paintbrush. If you don't like using the paintbrushes, you can use the little foam like eyeshadow applicator pads. Obviously, if you use them for your crafting, don't then use the same ones for applying eyeshadow. But that's sensible, isn't it? I mean, you know, common sense dictates that. So I'm just applying it in there. You can see, I mean, it looks beautiful. And then turning the mould over, giving it a bit of a tap. So a bit of an old tappy wappy, as it were, to quote Steve McDonald. A bit of a tappy wappy. Make sure you've got any excess powder that hasn't been smoothed out and coated the mould completely where you want it to. It just gets rid of it out of the mould. So we're just going in, just applying it in, just trying to bring alive some of the details that are in this beautiful mould. So I've done, you know, we've got that beautiful cheek area, the lips, what would I assume be the chin part of this crescent moon shaped mould, and the nose, and also the eyebrow, the eyelid, and the eye. So there you can see I'm just doing a little bit more, just putting the powder where I want it to be, where I think it would have more effect. Look at the gleam coming off of that, the shine, and the two-tone that some of the one of them actually, because one of them's a bit of a colour shift to it, so you get a bit of a two-tone effect going on. But also just making sure that I'm coating up the sides of the mould as well. There you go. If you get any of this where you don't want it, you can always just remove it with a bit of a baby wipe, or you can put some isopropyl alcohol on a tissue and just carefully wipe it off. It comes off pretty easily off of the areas of the mould where you don't want it to be. So as you can see here, I'm just making my way around the mould, putting the mica powders and then the glitter where I want it to be. Look at the effect there. It's like, do they call it? It's like a petrol and water effect or an oil and water effect. Now, this is one of the colour shifts. So in the bag, it looks white. You pop it on, and can you see how it's almost like a very pale electric violety sort of mauve blue? I'm probably not explaining that very well, but the camera is showing it up very well indeed. And it brings the facial features of the moon alive. Really does bring it alive there. But this looks stunning. I've said the S word, everybody. I tend to like saying the word stunning, but you know, it is the best word to describe the effect that this is producing in the mould. This is the first time of using it after the unboxing video. Really pleased with the way that the mica powders and so on and the tints were going onto this mould. So I'm just brushing over the whole thing to make sure that it's all completely burnished, I think they call it, don't they, onto the mould surface. And there you go, I'm just cleaning up the excess off the area of the top of the mould where, you know, you don't need it to be. So I'm doing a bit of a clean up job in advance, which is a bit unusual for me. You can also notice that I am wearing a pair of gloves. That is because I've got a super sensitivity to mica powders and glitters, as I've discovered. So I actually wear, for comfort, I wear a pair of white cotton gloves and then the nitrile gloves over the top. So I've made up some resin. This is Tea Expert resin. It's our favourite brand currently, followed very closely by a brand called Mould, MOLDD, but this one's Tea Expert. It's a 1-to-1 mixing ratio. All we've made up is about 150, maybe 200 mils of resin. We've mixed it slowly and steadily for about 5 minutes. Then I've added in a couple of little scoops of the white colour shift mica that you saw me brushing onto the mould. And then we've added, just for fun, some of the lovely holographic silver little tiny moons, crescent moons, glitter into it as well. So there we go. Not that you'll probably see any in the finished piece, but, you know, just for fun, just for giggles, as it were. So there we go. You can see that beautiful bluey sheen of the colour shift of that white mica powder. So here we go. It's all thoroughly mixed in, and we're just going to carefully pour it into the mould. I'm trying to pour it from at least 8 inches above the mould in a steady stream. This is to try and make sure you don't introduce any more bubbles that might already be in there. Although at this point, majority of the bubbles had already dissipated from the resin. There we go. So as you can see, we did 200 mils and we had so much resin left over. The way to calculate how much resin you do need accurately and correctly is to place your mould on a set of scales, zero the scales out, and then either put grains of rice into it, or some people just pour water in and then see what the measurement is, comes up on the scales, and that'll be the total amount of resin that you would need. Obviously, remove what you've put in your mould, clean it out, dry it, and then make up your resin. But we honestly thought we'd made up enough. We didn't realise we'd made up way too much. So as usual, we do not throw anything away, and we made up some other things with it. Now, this is a whole 24 hours later. Yeah, you heard it right. I didn't do just 12 hours. I did a whole 24 hours. I was actually practicing being patient and demoulded it then. As you can see, most of the glitter, those lovely moon shaped pieces of glitter, have risen to the top, but that's fine. Came away from the mould nice and easily. Hardly any mica powders left behind. Just checking the edges to see if we've got any little bits of overpour that need cleaning up. And then this is it on the other side. Look at that. The colour sheen difference. Look at that. It's beautiful. Now that colour sheen there across where the eyes are reminds me of the same colour sheen that you get in a semi-precious gemstone called labradorite, or labradorite as some people call it. Beautiful, like purple bluey sheen to things. Now, our lovely little seed beads and amethyst chips, I decided I was going to add in to create like a druzy effect on various areas of the moon itself, on the surface of it. So it gives it, again, quite a 3D look. And I did that using UV resin and curing it with a UV torch. So warning, there will be a UV torch coming up. Now, I've got these two little, these are single use. Unfortunately, we don't usually use things that are single use because we don't believe in throwing single use plastic stuff away. But on this occasion, I did use it for convenience. We had them there. And all I'm doing is just putting in some UV resin into each one, and then in one of them I'm going to add in the amethyst chips, and the other I'm going to add in these lovely little seed peacock colour shade seed beads. There we go. So that's the UV resin, and then I've got two little stir sticks, as you can probably see, one in the bottom left hand corner there. And this is me, sorry, this is a little bit of a gap here in between pouring the resin in to the cup and actually being able to get it. There we go. So I'm just going to carefully dispense into that first little mixing cup there the beautiful peacock shaded little seed beads. These beads, by the way, these little beads, I'm going to call them beads, they do not have a hole in the middle of them, so you've got no worries about air bubbles getting trapped or anything like that. So can you see what I've done there? I've just literally stirred them into the UV resin just to coat them, and the UV resin is going to act then like a glue. So it just adheres the beautiful little seed beads to the area of the project, or the cured resin, the moon, let's just call it that, where you want it. So it will cure it. When you hold the UV torch over it, it will cure it, and it'll act as glue. So it'll glue it to the mould, to the moon itself. Sorry, can't get my words out this evening. So we've just done exactly the same with the amethyst stone chips there. Love amethyst. Beautiful coloured stones. Or crystal. So, here we go. So just deciding now, where is the best place to put this? And I have opted to place them at the top and the bottom of the moon. So just around about there, I think, is how we're going to do this. So I've never actually done this before on a project. So this was very much a first time, let's have a go, let's see. But it's just literally putting it on. So it gives a bit of a, what was it? I think Jules from Resin Jules referred to it as being a druzy style effect. Now, we do have some crystals at home with druzy actually in them, where it's occurred naturally, and I understand what they mean. So we're creating, basically, we're attaching the little stone amethyst crystal chips to it to create our own little druzy effect. So there you go. You can see I'm just literally using the little mini wooden stir stick there to take out the little amethyst chips, which are coated in UV resin, and just trying to place them where I want them to go. Now, you don't have to put this much on at once. You can just put on a few and then cure them, then put on a few more and cure them, depending on how confident you feel about doing it. As you can see, I've got some that are sliding down the side where I don't want them to be, which is not a good idea. And what I should have done, note to self, if I do this again in the future, is to wipe down that side of the moon where the resin had then gone, because otherwise you'll cure clear UV resin onto your project, your piece. So you can see there, I'm just tapping it to see, is it cured yet? Didn't take long to cure at all. I mean, if you've got a UV lamp, you can always just pop it under the UV lamp. And in fact, when I'd finished doing the whole of this project with this and giving it this effect, I did then put the whole thing under the UV lamp that we've got for 3 lots of 60 seconds. So that's what? Yeah, 3 minutes under there. Now, I decided that the amethyst chips alone, they needed a little bit of something else. So I've added in these lovely little peacock shaded seed beads. I've just put a few in there just to see what it looks like. You know, never having done this sort of effect before. Let's see what this looks like. And they're all, yeah, all completely cured there. Just using the little resin torch, the UV torch. So I'm just going to show you. Can you see there how the effect that's given? I'm going to repeat it on the bottom part of the moon as well. So there we go. In with the amethyst chips. And then I'll repeat what I've done with the little seed beads as well. The peacock colour shades. So there we go. We've got a little bit going on there. So just take your time. I mean, this part has been sped up in the video because obviously this took me a little while to do. Other thing, you know, to say to you is do make sure that whatever you've got mixed in UV resin that you don't want cured is well out of way of the UV torch, because otherwise as soon as you cure that, like I'm doing now, if I haven't moved the little containers of UV coated amethyst chips and the little seed beads, then they'd cure in those little plastic containers and I wouldn't be able to use them. So just a little tip, a little hint there. So if you've joined us in the live chat today, hello to everybody in the live chat. Hope you're enjoying the video and following along. Hopefully this is giving you some inspiration of what you too could do, whether you decide to do a moon, make a crescent moon, a sun, or anything else, whether you use certain techniques that we've used and you apply it to other projects that you're doing. It doesn't have to be a moon or stars or the sun. It can be anything at all. Coasters, trays, anything at all. If you haven't joined us in the live chat but you are watching along, then hello to everybody who's watching along. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Why not drop us a comment? Let us know where you're watching from, and are you watching us on your mobile phone, tablet? Are you watching us on a laptop, computer, or are you watching us on your big telly screen? Yeah, just for fun, so we can. It gives us an idea of what people tend to watch us on. Obviously, you don't have to comment and let us know at all. But I hope you're enjoying the video. It is 26 minutes long, so we appreciate it's longer than perhaps some videos that maybe you've watched, but ours now, because we made the decision to increase our the length of videos that we do, just to make sure we cover every stage of what we're doing in a project, rather than skip or jump large sections. So you can see I've added, so we've got the section at the top there, we've got a section at the bottom of the moon, we've got a section just up higher than the cheek there as well, and I've just done the amethyst chips and also these lovely little seed beads. I'm now using the mica powder, the Colour Shift white mica powder that I got in the kit and I used to cover some of the mould, and I'm just applying it to some of the stone, some of the amethyst chips and some of those little seed beads, just because I wanted to try and get it to blend more into the surface of the project, the surface of that moon. I just wanted it to be a bit more incorporated rather than standing out quite as much as it does. So there you go. Hopefully you can see that where it's picked that up a bit. Now, here we go. Obviously, that might then just wipe off. So you're going to have to, if you do that, you're then going to have to just brush a little bit of UV resin over the top just to seal it in and then cure it again. There we go. Can you see on the eyelid detail and just around the cheek and on where you'd think the eyebrow would be, you can see some of the glitter that I added to the resin, so you can see some of those little mini crescent moons in there. But there you go, I'm just applying a little bit more of that Colour Shift mica or pigment powder into it just to try and incorporate it a bit more. It's not overly obvious the effect that it does do, but it does make a difference. Well, I feel it does anyway. Obviously, you don't have to follow this step if you don't want to. But there we go. You can just have a plain moon. You could just do it all in a metallic powder. You could do it in an opaque resin. You could have it whatever colour you want. You could do it all silver glitter, gold glitter. You could have a mixture of glitters. You could make it fun and have it really as colourful, or as uncolourful is not such a word, as colourful as you like. You could have a rainbow unicorn moon if you wanted, with some little tassels, different coloured tassels hanging down from it perhaps. That'd be fun. You could also incorporate some lights, some little tiny thin string lights around the edge of the moon, and then mount it maybe in a picture frame and have it on a wall, perhaps in a child's bedroom or nursery. That would look lovely. That would look really, really lovely. And they could have it almost like a night light. You know, there's lots and lots of options that you could do. Yeah. So there we go. I am applying it all. I'm just brushing it in currently. There you go. It's just brushing that in. Hopefully you can see. There we go. You can see what it's done. It's given it a bit of like a chrome finish, similar to that on the eyelid there. Now here we go. Where I've gone now with that extra mica powder, I'm just going to cover that whole section with a little bit of UV resin and then cure it again under the lamp. So that just it just acts as a fixative or a sealant for where I've applied the mica on the surface of those lovely amethyst chips and the little seed pearls. Now, in with the kit, you also get supplied a lot of other things that you can hang from the top of that of the crescent part of the top there of the moon, and also from the bottom part. But in the end, I decided not to do that with this because I think, personally, I think what it's got going on there currently is enough. more than enough. If I was going to do it as a solid colour, I probably would, because in with the kit you got 2 of what Jules calls dingle dangles, which is hilarious. I think that's a hilarious name for what they are. But they're a length of chain with a loop or a jump ring at the top, and then they've got various elements off of that length of chain, like crystals, like there's clear crystals that catch the light and reflect lovely different colours. There's little moons and stars and some little beads, and you can hang them from the top or the bottom depending on the length of them, but you get 2 of those included in the kit. You also get some other things included in the kit as well. Now, and as I said, check back in our playlist, have a look at the unboxing, and I actually talk you through everything and show you everything that has come in the kit. Now, I wanted to see if we put some of the little crescent moon silver holographic glitter onto the eyelid detail part. Does that need it? Now, this is when hindsight is a great thing, because it's like, Laura, you need to know when to stop. When to stop. And at this point, I really should have stopped. But, you know, I didn't. And I kept going, and I thought, right, okay, some of this UV is still a little bit, you know, sticky. So I'm going to apply lots of this lovely little crescent moon glitters, holographic glitter. Let's give it a lot of bling. Because if you've watched a few of our videos, you'll have realised that, you know, I'm a bit partial to a bit of glitter. And I have to say, before I started using resin to make things, I wasn't all that bothered about glitter. But you know, I hadn't tapped its full potential. I didn't understand what it can do. And, you know, a bit of glitter in your life and it's great. So I've put it where I wanted to. I've turned it over just to tap off the excess. What I should say to you is I did brush a tiny bit of UV resin over the eyelid section of the mould there, which is why they're not coming off of that part. But as you can see, I did manage to tap a load off. And I actually think that looks rather nice. So I am pleased, you know. Looking at that now, I'm very pleased that I did it. So UV torch coming up, and we're just going back and curing everything that needs to be cured. And like I said, you know, the finished piece we did before we do the final shots. You won't see us do it because it's not on camera, but we did put it under our main UV light for 3 minutes, just so it completely cures everything and it doesn't feel sticky or tacky to the touch. So there we go. So I really hope you're enjoying this video, following along okay. If you've got any questions or comments, please put them all in the comments box, and we do answer every single comment. Whether it's, you know, to compliment us on the video or whether it's a question about it and so on. So there we go. What I'm also doing now is I'm using one of my most favourite pens. I love these Deco colour pens. And I'm just applying a little bit of silver just to some of the outlines, because I thought they did get a little bit lost, you know, in all that blinging up that I was doing. Actually, I've just realised looking at this now, it looks like I've given them sideburns. But that wasn't my intention. But it looks like I've given this moon a sideburn. And if you don't know what a sideburn is, it's the hair that grows on the side of a man's face, usually from the temple down to the base of their jaw. But sorry, my sense of humour. Oh dear. No, you don't have to do what I'm doing here now. This is just me because I've got a bit of an addiction to using these kinds of pens. But what I've done is, rather than try and use the big chisel nib on the pen, I've put some of the can you see it, the silver chrome paint from the pen onto the silicone mat that I'm using, and then just dipping that very, very fine paintbrush into it, and then just painting it over the on the moon where I want, you know, a bit more detail, a bit more highlight to be. But yeah, it is like a lot of things, knowing when to stop. Now, I used to do a lot of painting, and again, it was knowing when to stop. Knowing when to stop. When is enough? When is it too much? When isn't it enough? But obviously, you know, as I've said, you don't have to do every single step that I'm doing here, but this is what we're doing. This is our taste. And we do tend to try and make things that are our taste and to our liking, and what we would like to have in our home, on a wall or bookshelf or displayed wherever. There we go. So I'm just drawing in the detail that's along there, just carefully putting it in. You don't need to cure this pen. This will just dry, no problem at all, and it will dries very, very quickly usually. Quite often we'll use it to edge trays and coasters if we feel it needs it, or maybe to do little bits of details like this. There we go. This pen is not supplied in the kit. So here we go, we're coming up with the finishing shots here. It looks stunning, beautiful. And there we go. All we've done is just attached it very loosely with some sellotape, I have to say, or some blue tack, to a wooden board just for display purposes, so you can see what it looks like. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. We had lots of fun making it. We'll be making a few more moons, and we will see you again in 2 or 3 days. On Sunday, we've got another video for you where we've made some hedgehogs. So don't forget to give us a like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell to make sure that you see that video as well. Take care, everyone, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.